The topic of enterprise and entrepreneurs. So the way I want you to use this video, you can use it two ways. You can just watch it as a video to help you remember things that we covered in class or you did as homework, or you can take out a piece of paper and a pen, because throughout the video I'm going to ask you to pause it and try to jot down a few notes of what you remember. Okay, so if you want to pause it now and go get some paper and a pen, do that, or you can continue watching the video. So the first thing you need to know is that in the curriculum, the things that you need to be able to do, you need to be able to identify different types of financial, cultural and social enterprise and appreciate the role each plays in society. You also need to describe the skills and characteristics of being enterprising and appreciate the role of an entrepreneur in an organization, in society, and to the economy. That's what we're going to go over in this video. So what is enterprise again? So if you have a pen and paper with you, pause the video now and try and write down what you think enterprise is. Here's an image to try and help you remember. So pause the video now. Okay, did you write down anything close to this? Now, you don't have to write it down exactly, but did you write down anything close to enterprise is the ability to generate an idea? You could have said create an idea, develop an idea, identify an opportunity, see an opportunity, see a chance, see a possibility of doing something new. Any of those words, as long as you mention you're creating something new because you saw an opportunity or a gap in the market, and you are taking risks. This is something key you need to write in. Enterprise is taking a risk. So you have to take a risk to turn the idea into a business. Okay, if you want to write down in the comments below what you wrote, if you're not sure, I'll have a look at them and I'll correct them, or you can talk to me in class. So the three different types of enterprise. Now, again, this I want you to try and jot down the three different types. So I've got three different pictures to try and help you remember. So if you want to pause the video now and try and write down the three different types of enterprise. Okay, the first one is financial. That's the one we all know, which is where we are trying to create a new business. This is to either sell a good or provide a service so that we make money for profit. The second is social. Now, social enterprise is a little bit different. Social enterprise is less about making a profit and more about providing something that society needs. It's about providing a service or providing a product that society doesn't have, and maybe it isn't financially viable to do it. So you are doing it for minimal cost, maybe you're doing it at a loss, or you're just breaking even. But it's something that your society, the people around you need, and you have created a business or an organization to provide that. And the last one is cultural. These are different types of organizations that try to promote different aspects of the culture. So we'll look at all of these in more detail now in a moment. The first of which is financial. So again, with your pen and paper, can you think of three different things that a financial enterprise provides in society? So if you pause the video now, try and write down three things. Okay, did you say any of these three? Did you say create jobs? So by starting a new business, you are possibly going to create new jobs for people. By creating new jobs, you are creating new people who are employed, and maybe other industries are developed because of these new industries. So in order to have, say, a big factory, you need to have workers who are going to work in that factory, and that's creating jobs. but that factory will also need machines serviced, or it'll need to be cleaned. So other companies are going to benefit from you being there, cleaning services, maintaining services. So you're contributing to economic growth in that way. Also, financial enterprises, they provide goods and services. Apple creates iPhones, MacBook Airs, things like that, things people need. Different companies create clothing that people need. Toyota produce cars, and then there's services. So by starting a plumbing service, you are providing plumbing services to people. People need their pipes in their houses fixed. Now, and through employment and sales, they also create taxes. So by selling things to the public or providing services, they create VAT, value-added tax, and that goes into the public finances. And then by creating employment, people are also paying income tax. And if you have more people employed, they have more money to spend on other goods and services. So they are spending even more money on VAT, on other things. So it has a knock-on effect. So if you said any three of those things, if you said something else and I didn't mention it, you can write down a comment below as well. Now, who supports financial enterprise? The big one that you need to know is Enterprise Ireland. I will either have hyperlinks here and here in the video, or I will leave these links in the description down below. So tap on those and have a look at them. Enterprise Ireland provides advice and also provides some grants to small companies to help them start up. So now social enterprise. Can you think of 3 different things that social enterprise does within society? So pause the video now and try and write down 3 things. Okay, did you write any of these? Again, it's the same as financial services. Our financial enterprise, they create jobs. So social enterprise also often needs people to work for their companies or organizations. They are trying to change society for the better. They're trying to do something that helps society. They are providing services that the private sector doesn't, or the government doesn't. So maybe it is providing something that won't make a profit, providing help to, like for example, men's sheds, a service where men can go and socialize with other men and do physical things, DIY, and learn new skills. There would be no profit in a company providing that, but a social enterprise wouldn't be looking for a profit. They are doing it to help people, and they make enough money maybe through funding and maybe through donations that they can keep it going. And then the government may not have the money to invest in different things, and so that is where social enterprise comes in, because the government might not be able to provide all different services that different parts of society needs. So social enterprise fills that gap. Then they also help to raise awareness about social issues. So Men's Sheds is to do with mental well-being for men. There are a lot of other services, and generally they are supported by Social Entrepreneurs Ireland, and I've included 2 links here. Again, they'll be either in the video or they will be in the description down below, so you can click on either one or both of those. Now, cultural enterprise. So I want you to try and write down 1 or 2 things here for cultural enterprise. What's their role in society? So did you write any of these? They're very similar to the other enterprises. They are not looking for profit though. They create revenue for the country through jobs, through taxes, through tourism. And the main aim for cultural enterprise is to help the arts and culture reach more people. They want more people involved in the arts and in culture. They want people to come to different events to learn these different skills. So Irish dancing, for example, they want young people to take up Irish dancing or learn traditional Irish music or Irish sports. They want people to go to plays and to see Irish plays or Irish movies. The IFI, the Irish Film Institute, often shows a lot of Irish produced films. Then you have the Abbey and the Gaiety, which put on old Irish plays. So all of these, they want to promote Irish culture within Ireland, and that can be good for Irish people and also for tourists. Who supports them? Well, they have a variety of different things. So as I said before, the IFI tries to promote film. The Arts Council helps promote film, theatre, artistic expression. The GAA supports, obviously, hurling, camogie, Gaelic football. And TG Cahir promotes the Irish language through Irish-produced language programs, and sometimes, obviously, they show rugby with Irish commentary. Culture Night, then. Culture Night is a night where all the different museums stay open a little bit later, and they provide some buses that are free of charge to bring people around, and they can also go into other buildings that might not be open, like the Goethe Institute, which is responsible actually for promoting the German language in Ireland, and that is just off St. Stephen's Green. So that's a building you might not go into, but you could go into that night. And they have loads of different buildings like that, ones that you might not go into, but they open them up late. And then obviously all the other places, the Museum of National Art, Natural History, National History, they all stay open, and sometimes they have special events on as well. So I've left 2 links here. They'll either be in the video or in the description below. So what is an entrepreneur? So first we looked at enterprise. Now we're talking more about the individual or individuals, and that is an entrepreneur. So take a moment now and see if you can write down the definition of what an entrepreneur is. Okay, so pause the video and try and write it down. Did you say something like, an entrepreneur is someone who takes a personal and financial risk to set up a business with the hope of making a profit? Now, keywords. An entrepreneur is a person, is someone, you can say either of those, who takes, now this is key, a personal and financial risk. A personal and financial risk to set up a business, to create a business, to establish a business, with the hope of making a profit. They want to make a profit. Did you use any of those keywords? Making a profit, financial risk, taking a risk. Did you say taking a risk, setting up a business in the hopes of making money? That would be okay as well. Now, entrepreneurs need to identify an opportunity. And you can look at this in 3 different ways. The first is they can create a new product or service. They might create a new type of phone or a new type of shoe, a new type of car, a new type of technology, a new gadget, a new service that people might need. So they see a gap and they create that new product or service that fills that gap. Or they introduce something that is already in production, an already existing product or service into a new area. A big example of this, it's a little different. It's not entrepreneurial in the sense of one person doing it, but Krispy Kreme moved into Ireland recently, and obviously they saw a gap in the market and they set up in Blanchardstown. Now there's loads of donut shops in Dublin city centre, but there are not that many, or I can't think of any donut shops really in the suburbs. And Blanchardstown Shopping Centre is huge, and Krispy Kreme have a big brand, and they saw an opportunity to move in, and they saw a space there, and they were right, because they were very successful when they set up there. Or they provide an existing product or service at a lower price. So they find a way of providing the good or the service at a lower price, and that's how they compete. All of those are identifying an opportunity. Now we're going to have a look at skills and characteristics. So what's the difference between a skill and a characteristic? Well, the definition. A characteristic is a feature or quality belonging typically to a person, place or thing and serving to identify them. whereas a skill is the ability to do something. Put simply, a characteristic is something maybe you could say we're born with, or it's part of our personality. It's something we can do that maybe somebody else can't do naturally, whereas a skill is something that we can learn, we can get better at. Now, the characteristics of an entrepreneur. So I want you to try and write down a few, let's say 3 characteristics, what you think the characteristics of an entrepreneur would be. So take pen and paper and write down 3. Okay, here's a few that I have written down here. So I have here creative, risk taker, ambitious, initiative, resourceful, and determined. So did you say any of those? Now, it's not just limited to this. You could have said other things, but it has to be something where it is a part of a person's innate nature. It's part of their person. For example, personally, I am not a risk taker. I am much more careful, and I know that I wouldn't be a successful entrepreneur really because I'm not willing to take huge financial risks. I'm a little bit ambitious, but I wouldn't say I am hugely ambitious. I would say I am resourceful, determined, yes, and creative, yes. So I have some of the characteristics, but I do lack some of the other characteristics, personally. If you've written any other ones, please write them down in the comment below. Now, the skills are a little bit different. Skills are things you learn. So I want you to again pause the video and try and write down 3 things that you think are skills of an entrepreneur. So pause the video now and write those down. Did we say planning, time management, communication, market knowledge, problem solving, people skills? Again, not limited to this. Planning is something we can get better at with practice. Time management is something we can learn tricks and tips of how to get better at managing our time. Communication, you can definitely get better at communication. With experience, you learn how to communicate with people and to communicate, more clearly so that people know what you want and what you need. Market knowledge, this is something you can go to college, you can read about in books, you can learn how business works. Problem solving, you can get better at problem solving, it's just a matter of practice. People skills, again, this is something that some people are naturally better with people, and that might be a part of their characteristic. They might be naturally good with people. But people skills is something that you can learn. You can learn how to talk to people in a professional manner and how to be courteous and polite. You can also learn how to be a good salesperson, how to sort of sell things to people and make people buy things they don't want is often the thing that salespeople need to be good at. So here's an example of the sort of question you might get on this topic in an exam. It says here, in 2014, Karina Niland saw an advertisement for the sale of a small hotel in West Cork. She carried out some research and discovered that tourist numbers have increased significantly due to the Wild Atlantic Way. That is a route in the west of Ireland that is signposted and people can drive along it, and it has a lot of scenic views. She decided to purchase the hotel. She refurbished it, which means that she did it up. It maybe was needed new carpets, a paint job, new furniture, so she refurbished it, she did it up. She employed staff and she opened in 2016 with the name Ocean Waves Hotel. State 2 skills that Karina needed as an entrepreneur. Now, I'd like you to pause the video and try and state these 2 skills that Karina needed as an entrepreneur. Remember, what a skill. What is a skill? And remember, it's different from characteristic. So pause the video now and try and write that down. Okay, let's have a look and see what sort of skills you might have written down. Again, if I don't mention it here, it doesn't mean you're wrong. Write it a comment down below or ask me in class and we can go through other answers that I might not have mentioned. Some skills though that Karina used. Now they have given you a lot of information here. They want you to state skills that relate to some of the information they give. Now, she saw an ad for the sale of a small hotel. she carried out research and discovered that tourist numbers have increased significantly due to the Wild Atlantic Way. Now, this shows that she has market knowledge. She knows the market. She knows that there's an opportunity here to open up a hotel in this region, and there might not be other hotels there at the moment, or there might not be enough hotels there at the moment. So she has the market knowledge and the problem solving skills to, and this is the thing, the decision to purchase the hotel, that was her market knowledge. But then after purchasing it, she had to refurbish it, she had to do it up. So that was problem solving. So she used her problem solving skills So she used her market knowledge and her problem solving skills. Now the next thing is she employed staff. Now to employ staff, you need to do a couple of different things. You need to advertise the positions, and then you need to interview. And in order to do that, you need to have skills such as planning. You need to have communication skills. You need to write an effective ad in the newspaper so people know about the job and apply for it. And then you need to have people skills. You need to have people skills when you're employing people. You need to be able to talk to them, get them to talk about themselves so that you know you're hiring the right people. Now, I've written down 5 here. You only needed to write down 2 skills, and you only need to state what they are. And I would recommend that they are related to the question. So they gave you all this information for a reason, so that you would have they gave you this information for a reason. They gave it so that, one, it was a hint as to different things they wanted you to mention, but 2, they want you to write that, and they want you to show that you know that she used market knowledge, that she used problem solving skills, planning, communication, and people skills. Okay, so that's one question. Now here's another question from actually a sample paper for the junior cycle, which is related to enterprise and entrepreneurs. So the question says, the government has announced grants of 56 million. So they're going to give 56 million euros to over 1,700 sporting projects. So different projects. So some projects might get 10,000, some might get 100,000. And it's going to be under the new Sports Capital Programme. So the Sports Capital Programme are going to be giving out 56 million to 1,700 different sporting projects. This will benefit sports teams, organizations, and associations around the country. And they've taken that from an independent.ie article, so the independent newspaper. So the first thing it says here, the GAA is one group that benefits from this program. The GAA is a cultural enterprise. What is meant by a cultural enterprise? So I want you to pause this video here, and on a piece of paper, try and write down what a cultural enterprise is. So pause the video now and try and write that down. So let's have a look. What I would write is cultural enterprise is when an organization, it can be organization or business or club, is when an organization is created in order to promote the arts or culture. The GAA promotes Irish games, such as camogie, hurling, and Gaelic football. Now I would say they are not doing it for profit. They are not, excuse my handwriting, they are not doing it for profit. They are doing it to promote the arts or culture. So what I did in this was I explained briefly what cultural enterprise is. It's when an organization or a club is set up, is created in order to promote the arts or culture. And now I specifically mentioned what the GAA is because it's mentioned in the question. So I've explained briefly what cultural enterprise is, and now I am explaining and giving an example of the GAA. So it promotes Irish games such as camogie, hurling, and Gaelic football. And another key part of cultural enterprise is they don't do it for profit. They're not doing it. They may make profit, but they are not doing it exclusively for profit. They are doing it to promote an art or culture. Now, B. GAA clubs may use the grant to purchase assets. State one example of an asset that a GAA club might purchase. Now, I'll give you a moment, pause the video and try and find out what an asset is. Okay, now they only want you to state what an example of an asset would be that a GAA club might purchase. So an asset is a thing or a person that is useful or valuable to someone or something. So an example of an asset that a GAA club might purchase, now there is going to be many, but an example could be they might purchase football jerseys, Gaelic football jerseys, or footballs. They might buy footballs, they might buy jerseys, they might buy equipment. If they're a big club, they might buy weights equipment. They might buy machinery for cutting the lawn. Well, not the lawn, but the pitches. So they might buy lawnmowers. They might buy posts, goal posts, and nets. They might buy something for their clubhouse. They might buy, if it's a big grant, they might actually build a clubhouse. Now, I know you might say, oh, it's not purchasing a clubhouse, but it actually is. If they are paying somebody to build a clubhouse, it's an asset. They might also purchase some sort of machinery like a car or a van or a minibus to transport teams around. The list is endless. If you're not sure, you can leave a comment and I'll have a look and get back to you, or you can ask me in class. But you only need to state one example. Now, a third question. Again, junior cycle level question. So it says here, Roisin O'Brien, an entrepreneur, intends to set up a t-shirt printing company in Wexford called Trendy T-shirts at the end of the year. In her spare time, Roisin volunteers, which means she works for no pay in order to help out something or someone. So she volunteers in her local sports centre, helping to manage the accounts. State two benefits for Roisin as an entrepreneur of volunteering in her local sports centre. So again, I want you to pause it, try and write two things down, two benefits. And this time I want you to not just sort of write down words, but try and write down a little bit more, maybe a sentence explaining why it's a benefit. And then I'll go through to in a moment. So pause now and give it a go. Okay, So, two benefits for Roisin as an entrepreneur of volunteering in local sports centre. So, what does she do in the sports centre? Well, she's helping to manage the accounts. Managing the accounts means that she is looking at what the sports centre is taking in money-wise and what they're spending, their budget. So what would be two benefits of doing this for Roisin as an entrepreneur? Well, she is developing her, there's a few different things you could say. You could say her business skills, her money managing skills. Let's just say she is developing her accounting skills. So, I'm going to write here. Roisin is doing the books and learning how a business, now in this case the business is a sports centre, but a business is a business, learning how a business works, what she needs to spend money on, what the money is spent on, and how it is managed. Now, what I mean by that is she sees that in the sports centre she has to pay, or they have to pay maybe for equipment, they have to pay rent, they have to pay light, heat, electricity. So these are things that she is seeing that a business would have to pay. So she sets up a business and she employs people and she has a factory, especially because she wants to start printing t-shirts. She's going to have a space. She can't do this at home. If she wants it to be big, like of course she could try and do it in her bedroom, but it's not going to be a serious business. It's going to be very small. So she's going to have to learn how business works and where money is spent. It's not just spent on t-shirts, but it's also spent on rent and insurance. If she has workers, she's going to have different types of insurance. She's going to have to pay their wages. And then she's going to have to learn how money is managed. So when money comes in, what does she do with it? Well, she's going to have to put it in the bank, and then she's going to have to keep a record of it, because she will have to pay tax, but she won't pay tax straight away. She'll have to pay tax at the end of the year. She'll have to declare her tax. So she has to learn how money is managed, and this is accounting skills. So another benefit that Roisin might get from volunteering is, you could say, networking. Now, Roisin is meeting new people. Roisin is meeting new people who might, M-I-G-H-T, my spelling, might be future customers or mentors. So Roisin might be creating contacts in the sports centre. She might meet different clubs who next year want to get a new jersey, and she might be able to get them to buy those jerseys from her. Or she might be able to meet other businessmen who would be able to give her advice and knowledge, or help her link up with other people. And these would be mentors. So that would be a form of networking. I would, if you have other ones, please leave them in the comments down below, or tell me in class. There are numerous things, but here I want you to have listed it and then explained it slightly. So if I just wrote networking and I just wrote accounting skills, I would get some marks, but I wouldn't get all the marks. Okay.